The market smelled of metal and fuel. Spaceships came and went, unloading goods, creatures and machines from faraway planets. Traders shouted their prices, trying to sell anything that could move, talk, or glow. The human walked slowly among the stalls. He had visited many markets before, but this one felt different. It was full of things people had given up on, broken toys of the galaxy, creatures no one wanted, and inventions that had failed. Among the noise, a small booth caught his attention. A sign hung crookedly above it, written in faded letters, "Worthless. Take or leave." Inside, sitting on a low platform, was a small alien girl. She looked no older than 10 human years. Her skin shimmered faintly like silver dust, and her eyes were large and dark, reflecting the light of the market like twin moons. She did not cry. She did not beg. She only watched. The traders laughed around her. "Nobody wants her," one said. "Useless species. Can't fight, can't work, can't survive alone. Waste of credits." Another shook his head. "Even a child this old is worthless. Why is she even here?" The girl did not answer. She simply sat with her knees drawn to her chest, calm in the chaos. The human crouched a few steps away. He looked at her quietly. The trader's words made him frown. There was something about her eyes, something they were not seeing. While everyone else laughed, he felt a strange warmth, like a light in the middle of the dark, noisy market. She was small and alone, but she did not seem afraid. A trader waved a hand. "Hey human. You looking for something cheap? This one is for almost nothing. Are you stupid? She is worthless. Take her and be done with it." The human shook his head. He did not say a word. He only looked at the girl. He walked around the stall slowly. Other traders were busy yelling, waving their arms, and trying to sell broken machines. He noticed the girl's fingers. They were delicate but moved with care, almost like she was touching something invisible. He watched her eyes again. They seemed to understand everything, like she could see more than the humans and aliens around her. "Worthless," one trader repeated. "Nobody wants her. Almost free." The human's heart tightened. He could not explain why, but he felt that calling her worthless was a mistake. Something inside him told him that the world had judged her too soon. He took a deep breath and asked, "How much?" The trader laughed. "Almost nothing. 10,000 credits. That's all. But don't say I didn't warn you. You'll get nothing in return. She's useless." The human counted his savings in his head. 10,000 credits was everything he had saved over years. Every odd job, every mission, every contract had gone into that amount. It would leave him with nothing if he spent it. He hesitated. People around him were shouting, trading, and laughing. He felt the weight of their eyes, judging him for thinking about this small, strange girl. Then he looked at her. She was still calm. She looked at him once, straight in the eyes, and blinked slowly. He felt like she was asking him to choose. To see her, really see her. Without another word, he counted his credits, laid them on the platform, and said, "She's mine." The trader stared. "Are you mad?" one shouted. "All of it? Every credit you have? For her?" The human nodded. He did not explain. He did not argue. He only looked at the girl again. She tilted her head slightly, a small smile forming on her lips. It was almost imperceptible, but it was there. The trader shook his head in disbelief and shrugged. "Fine. She's yours. Take her." He waved the human away, still muttering about being foolish. The human lifted the girl gently. She did not struggle. She did not cry. She only allowed him to hold her. Her skin was warm, and she leaned slightly against his chest. For the first time, the human felt a bond, small but strong. He carried her out of the market. The noise faded behind them as they stepped into the streets outside. The city was alive with light and movement, but he barely noticed. All he could see was the girl. She was not worthless. Not to him. And maybe he thought the world had made a mistake calling her so. As they walked, the girl finally spoke, her voice soft and melodic. "Thank you." The human looked down. He smiled. "Don't thank me yet," he said. "We have a lot to see and a lot to learn." She nodded and leaned against him. They walked together, two unlikely travelers, ready to face a galaxy that had called her worthless. For the human, the future was uncertain. For the girl, it was the first time she felt seen. Together, they had a beginning. The market of broken things had tried to sell her for nothing. But sometimes, the most valuable things are hidden where no one cares to look. And sometimes, humans are the ones who see them. The human carried the alien girl through the city streets. Lights glimmered on tall buildings, and vehicles hummed as they passed overhead. People stared, curious about the strange pair. Some whispered, "Who would buy that girl?" Others laughed at the human for spending all his savings. He ignored them. He only looked at the girl, whose eyes followed every movement around them, calm and quiet. They reached a small inn near the edge of the city. The human rented a room for them. He laid out a few mats and gave the girl some water. She drank slowly, watching him carefully as if she wanted to understand him better. He felt her trust growing. That small, quiet bond made him feel something he had not felt in years. Sitting on the edge of a mat, he thought about the price he had paid. Every credit he owned, gone in a single moment, spent on someone else. He could feel the weight of it pressing down. Friends, coworkers, and traders would all call him foolish. He had no savings left for food, for travel, or for emergencies. One mistake and he would be ruined. Still, he did not regret it. Looking at the girl, he realized that money could be earned again, but moments like this, moments of choice, were rare. He had seen many people treat the weak as nothing. They had judged her too soon. He could not do the same. The girl tilted her head. "Why?" she asked softly. The human paused. "Why what? Why did you buy me?" "I am worthless," she said, repeating what the traders had told her. Her voice held no bitterness, only curiosity. The human smiled faintly. "You are not worthless. Not to me. You may seem small and weak to them, but I see something else. I see potential. And I see someone who deserves a choice." She looked at him silently for a long moment. Then she nodded slightly as if she understood. For the first time, her small smile returned. The human felt a flicker of hope. Maybe he had done the right thing. The next morning, he went to the market to see what opportunities he still had. He had no money left, but he could still work. He found odd jobs, carrying goods, fixing small machines, and delivering packages. He moved quickly, knowing that every day counted. The girl watched him, learning. She asked questions about machines, planets, and trade routes. Her curiosity was sharp, and she remembered every detail. One day, while he was repairing a small drone, she touched a lever and whispered something he did not understand. The drone suddenly responded in a way it had never done before. It moved faster, more smoothly, almost as if it was alive. The human's eyes widened. He looked at her. "How?" he asked. "I just feel it," she said simply. Her eyes sparkled. "It is different. I know it." He realized then that the traders were wrong. She was not worthless. She was different. Her species had a gift, something hidden and misunderstood. The galaxy had judged her too quickly, but he had chosen to see her true value. That night, they sat together in the inn room. The human told her stories of the stars, of planets he had visited, and of humans who had done great things despite being small or weak. The girl listened carefully, absorbing every word. When he finished, she spoke softly. "Will we survive?" He chuckled. "We will. It won't be easy. But if we try, I believe we can. Life is not about how much you have, but about what you are willing to do for those who matter." The girl nodded, her small hand resting on his arm. He felt a warmth he had never felt before. For the first time in a long time, he did not feel alone. The city outside was still loud and busy, but inside their room, a small world of trust and hope was growing. Over the next few days, he continued his work while she observed and learned. Every time he faced a challenge, she found subtle ways to help him. A misplaced tool, a strange pattern in the machines, a forgotten step, she noticed it all. Slowly, he began to see her not just as someone he had bought, but as a partner, a guide, and perhaps even a friend. One evening, after a long day of work, he looked at her again. "You know," he said, "people called you worthless." They laughed. They thought they understood everything. She looked down, then back at him. I thought maybe I was." "You were never worthless," he said firmly. "You just needed someone to see the truth." The girl's eyes softened, and she leaned slightly toward him. The human realized that this choice, spending everything for her, was more than just an act of kindness. It was the beginning of something bigger, something neither of them could yet understand. Outside, the city lights shone brightly, but for the human and the girl, the world had grown smaller, warmer, and full of possibility. A human had taken a risk, and a girl had found someone who believed in her. Together, they had begun a journey that would change both of their lives forever. And for the human, that choice, the choice that made no sense to anyone else, was already proving to be worth everything. The human and the alien girl traveled through the city each day. He worked small jobs to earn food and supplies, and she followed him quietly, learning everything she could. At first, she only watched, her big dark eyes filled with curiosity. But slowly, she began to show signs of something unexpected. One morning, the human was fixing a small delivery drone. It was old, scratched, and difficult to control. He tried several times to make it work, but it kept failing. The girl stood nearby, watching his hands move over the metal. Without asking, she reached out and touched a small control panel. Instantly, the drone's movements smoothed. Its lights blinked steadily, and it hovered as if it understood her. The human froze. "How did you do that?" he asked. "I don't know," she said softly. "I just feel it." He looked at her closely. "Feel it?" She nodded. The machine wanted to work. It was like it was asking for help. The human realized that she was not ordinary. She understood machines and systems in a way he had never seen. Not only machines. Sometimes she would notice small things about the city, strange patterns in the lights or noises, or signs that humans and aliens missed. It was like she could see what others could not. As the days passed, her abilities became clearer. She would point out hidden dangers in the streets, find safe paths through crowded markets, and even sense when someone was lying or pretending. The human began to trust her advice, even though he could not explain why. One evening after they returned to their small inn, he asked her, "Do you know what makes you different?" She shook her head. "No. I only know that I can feel things that others do not." He sat beside her. "Most people called you worthless because they could not see it. They judged you by what they expected, not by what you could do. But I can see it. You are not empty. You have gifts." The girl's eyes widened. "Gifts?" "Yes," the human said gently. "You understand things that others ignore. You can notice patterns, see the truth in ways most beings cannot. That is power. That is value. And it is rare." She looked down at her hands, then back up at him. "They laughed at me. They said I was weak. I thought, maybe they were right." "You were never weak," he said firmly. "You were only misunderstood. Sometimes the world is blind to what matters most. You just needed someone to see you." For the first time she smiled fully, not a small or quiet one, but a bright smile that seemed to light up the room. The human felt a warmth in his chest. He had seen her potential from the beginning, but even he did not realize how powerful she could be. Over the next weeks, they continued to move through the city together. The girl's skills grew. She helped him repair broken machines, solve problems, and even navigate dangerous areas where others would get lost. People began to notice that the human had changed. He seemed calmer, more confident, and more capable. Some whispered that the girl was helping him, but no one understood how. One day they came across a group of children playing near a damaged hover train. The train was about to fall into the street, but the girl stepped forward, her hands moving in quick, precise gestures. She guided the children away safely, then helped the train stop without braking. The human watched in awe. "You saved them," he said quietly. She looked at him, her expression calm. "I could feel it," she said. "They needed help. I wanted to make it right." The human realized that her abilities were more than technical or physical. She had a sense of empathy, a way to understand and act for others that few beings possessed. It was clear now why the traders called her worthless. They could not see beyond their own greed. That night, back at their inn, he spoke softly. "You see, you are not empty. You have a mind, a heart, and skills that the galaxy forgot. You are important." She leaned against him. "Do you think someone will ever see it too?" "I don't know," he said honestly. "The galaxy is slow to learn. But we will try. We will show them what you can do. And together we will make them notice." She smiled again, and the human felt a deep sense of hope. For the first time she felt seen, valued, and understood. She had been called worthless, abandoned, and ignored, but now, with a human who believed in her, she was learning to trust herself. Outside the window, the city lights flickered and hummed, busy with life and motion. Inside, in a small room on the edge of the galaxy's great markets, two unlikely friends prepared for the journey ahead. One had given everything for the other, and one was slowly discovering that she was more than anyone had ever imagined. The human knew their path would not be easy. Challenges would come, and the galaxy might still doubt them. But for now, he smiled as he watched her learn, grow, and shine. Sometimes, the most remarkable things appear where no one expects them. Sometimes, the so-called worthless are the most extraordinary. And for the human and the girl, the future, though uncertain, felt full of possibilities. The human and the alien girl left the city and traveled to a quieter place on the edge of the planet. The streets were less crowded, and the air smelled cleaner. The human had heard stories about old libraries and archives hidden in abandoned buildings, places where the galaxy's past had been recorded but often forgotten. He thought these might hold answers about the girl's species. The girl walked beside him, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Why are we looking for old places?" she asked. "Because sometimes the truth is hidden," he said. "People decide what is important, what is worthless. But the past often tells a different story. They reached a large, abandoned building. Its metal walls were scratched and some panels had fallen off, revealing the inner structure. Inside it was quiet and dusty. Rows of shelves held old data crystals, books and recordings from decades, even centuries ago. The human began searching carefully. The girl wandered nearby, touching the shelves gently. She paused at one shelf, her fingers brushing against a crystal that seemed to hum softly. "This one?" she whispered. He walked over. "What is it?" She picked it up. When she touched the crystal, the lights inside glowed faintly. Strange symbols appeared in the air, floating like tiny stars. The human stepped back, amazed. "You can read it?" "I can feel it," she said. "It is like the story is inside me." Together they activated the crystal. A holographic recording appeared. It showed beings who looked like her, tall and graceful, moving through cities filled with technology far beyond the human's world. They were scholars, inventors, and explorers. The recording showed their achievements. Machines that could travel between planets faster than thought possible, devices that healed sick creatures, and libraries containing knowledge that even the most powerful civilizations did not know. The human's eyes widened. This is your species?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, this is who we were." Another recording appeared. It was darker, showing battles and arguments with powerful factions. The girl's ancestors had been betrayed. Other species, greedy for knowledge and control, had spread lies. They called her people weak, unimportant, and nearly extinct. They erased the achievements of her kind, hiding their history and reputation. The human looked at her. "That is why they called you worthless. Not because you were weak, but because someone wanted the galaxy to forget your people." She listened quietly, her hands trembling slightly. "They lied about us?" "Yes," he said firmly. "And now we know the truth. Your people were never worthless. They were powerful in ways others could not understand. They could have changed the galaxy, but someone wanted to control it instead." The girl's eyes glistened. "Then, I am not worthless." The human shook his head. "Never. You carry their knowledge, their spirit. You are more important than anyone has realized. And together we can show the truth. We can prove that what was buried was never empty." Over the next days they explored more of the archive. The girl began to understand the recordings in a way the human could not. She touched the crystals and floated symbols appeared, showing star routes, ancient machines, and messages left by her ancestors. She absorbed everything quickly, learning secrets that had been hidden for centuries. The human watched her carefully. He realized that she was more than a child or a survivor, she was a living bridge between the past and the present. She carried the memory of an entire civilization, and she had the ability to unlock it. One evening, after a long day of learning, the girl turned to him. "I understand now. I'm not worthless, and I can help others see it too." The human smiled. "Yes, but we must be careful. Not everyone will believe us. Some will try to stop you. Some will still see only what they want to see." "I don't care," she said softly. "I know who I am now, and I know you see me. That is enough." The human placed a hand on her shoulder. "It is never just enough, but it is a start, and starts are powerful. They can change everything." Outside, the sun set over the quiet city ruins. Its light touched the building's metal walls, casting long shadows. Inside, a human and an alien girl prepared for what would come next. They had discovered a hidden truth, a history erased by fear and greed. The girl's species was not weak and she was not empty. Together they planned the next steps. The galaxy was still out there, busy and unaware. Traders, governments, and powerful factions all believed the story they had been told. But the human and the girl had seen the truth. They had touched the hidden history. And soon they would show the galaxy that what was buried was never lost. It was waiting to be remembered. For the first time, the girl felt the weight of her ancestors' legacy. It was not a burden. It was a gift. And she had someone beside her who believed in her. The human looked at her and said quietly, "The galaxy will call you many things. Some will still call you worthless. But we know the truth. And that is what matters." She nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "Then we will begin. We will show them." And with that, the human and the alien girl prepared to take the first steps toward a future where the galaxy could no longer ignore the value of what it had tried to bury. The human and the alien girl left the quiet archives and returned to the city. The streets were busy, filled with people rushing to work, trade, or travel. But the human and the girl were not the same as before. They carried knowledge, purpose, and a shared understanding that no one else yet saw. The girl walked beside him, her head held high. She had learned much in the archives, secrets of her species, the hidden history of the galaxy, and the truth about her so-called worthlessness. She understood now that her people had been betrayed and erased, but she was alive, and she carried that legacy forward. The human watched her carefully. He knew the journey ahead would not be simple. Many would still doubt her. Many would still call her weak or worthless. But he also knew something that others did not. Humans could change the world by believing in what others ignored. And he had already done it once. They arrived at a marketplace, larger and louder than the one where the girl had been sold. Traders shouted, crowds pushed past them, and strange creatures moved between the stalls. A group of young aliens, curious, came close to see her. Some recognized the signs of her species, and their eyes widened in surprise. The girl stepped forward, confident. She spoke softly, showing the patterns and symbols she had learned in the archives. The young aliens gasped. They had never known these secrets. They had grown up believing her species was weak and useless. But now they saw the truth. They saw her knowledge, her abilities, and her calm strength. The human smiled. He had no credits left, no wealth, and no powerful allies. But he had something stronger. Someone who had been called worthless was now changing the minds of the galaxy, and he had been the first to see it. As the girl shared her knowledge, a crowd began to gather. Traders stopped their shouting and workers paused their labor. The city itself seemed to slow down, watching as she moved among them with quiet confidence. She repaired machines, explained complex ideas, and showed hidden paths through the crowded streets. Each act, small or large, revealed the truth she had carried all along. One of the traders from the first market came forward, a sneer on his face. "So, this is the worthless girl?" he asked. "What can you do that makes her valuable?" The girl looked at him calmly. Then she reached out and adjusted a malfunctioning delivery robot. The robot lit up and moved perfectly, completing its task with speed and precision. The crowd gasped. The trader's sneer faded. He looked at the human, who only shrugged and smiled faintly. "You see," the human said quietly, "worth is not what others say. Worth is what you do. And she has always been worth more than anyone believed." The crowd began to murmur. People who had laughed at her now watched in awe. Some whispered apologies, some asked questions, and others simply stared, realizing they had been wrong. The girl turned to the human. "We did it," she said softly. He shook his head. "Not yet. This is only the beginning. But look at them. They are starting to see. They are beginning to understand." She smiled. For the first time she felt the weight of her past lift slightly. The legacy of her ancestors, once hidden and ignored, was now being remembered. She was not just a survivor. She was a teacher, a guide, and a symbol of what the galaxy had overlooked. Days passed. More people began to notice her skills. Reports of her abilities spread across the city and into other parts of the planet. Even scholars and officials came to see her. They asked questions, took notes, and listened. Slowly, the story of her people, the story that had been buried, began to return. The human watched from a distance, proud but humble. He had risked everything to save her, and now the choice he made was creating change far beyond what he had imagined. The girl had grown stronger, wiser, and more confident. And together, they were proving that one human's compassion could alter the course of history. One evening, as the sun set over the city, the human and the girl stood on a small hill, looking down at the bustling streets. "Do you see?" he asked. "The world is starting to notice you." "I see," she said softly. "And I will keep showing them. They will understand that being called worthless does not mean it is true." The human nodded. "Exactly. Worth is not given. Worth is shown. And you have always had it." They watched as lights glimmered across the city. Traders, workers, and scholars were all learning, seeing, and questioning what they had once believed. The galaxy was big and busy, but slowly, piece by piece, the truth was spreading. The human smiled. For him there was no regret. Every credit spent, every risk taken, every choice made had led to this moment. The girl was no longer alone, and her people's story was no longer forgotten. The girl turned to him and said quietly, "Thank you." He shook his head. "No, thank you. You taught me too. You showed me that seeing value where others do not can change everything." And as the city hummed below them, the human and the alien girl understood what worthless had really meant. It had been a lie told by those who could not see, a story meant to hide power and truth. But they had discovered it, shared it, and would continue to show the galaxy that what is truly valuable is not always obvious, and sometimes it takes a human to see it. Together they walked down the hill, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. They had begun a journey that would change the way the galaxy looked at Worth forever.